Okay, it says you're live, so I assume that it's all working. There's a nice bit of light reflecting on the board there. Perhaps I'll try and get rid of that, but I'm not going to try especially hard. I can do that, for example. But yeah, I see. Okay, I can do this to make it nice and dark. There we go. We've got some light coming up from the corner. Okay, perhaps I'll just try and bring that into the centre then. Okay, that's the best I'm going to get it for today. Not very good, is it? But I can't be bothered to stand around trying to do light all the time. So we're doing Line of Duty today. This is from the second episode. If you like this TV show and you want to learn English with it, go to my website and you can get some exercises for all of the first season. I'm currently writing episodes for the second season as well. So if you like learning English with TV shows, go to the website and buy those exercises. So we're just looking at the vocabulary from episode 2 today. And it looks like my children have rubbed off one of the words that I've put up here. So I'll put that back on. Now you can ask questions today because I've got it facing me for a change. So if you want to say something, then please do. Now this is a lesson for vocabulary. It's really aimed at my foreign students, not my native speakers. It's for vocabulary from the BBC show Line of Duty 2. I'd put it at about upper intermediate level. And if you keep watching TV shows, you will notice that there are literally millions of phrasal verbs that all the characters use. So if you don't know them, you're going to feel a little bit lost for words in a lot of different situations. So to break in was the first one that came up, that cropped up in Line of Duty 2. And when you break into a house, and remember, if it's got an object, you need into, by the way. And this is the same with a lot of phrasal verbs with in. When you just use it with in, there's no object. It's intransitive. So you could say, last night a burglar broke in. Or you can say, last night a burglar broke into the bank. Okay, so break into needs an object. And that's not just true for break in, but it's true for many other in phrasal verbs. Can't think of one off the cuff. Yeah, I can't think of one spontaneously. An idiom for spontaneously is off the cuff. I can't think of one off the cuff. I can't think of one spontaneously. But trust me that a lot of in phrasal verbs are in without an object and into when you have an object. Okay, to be into something. If you are into something, you're interested in it as a hobby. So you can be into stamp collecting, you can be into chess, you can be into a language. I mean, really, anything that you're really passionate about, you are into. So I imagine, because the World Cup's coming up, a lot of people are into football and they will be following the World Cup. They'll be supporting different teams. Okay, so if you are into something, it just means you're a fan of that hobby or that pastime. Okay, this is an excellent expression because it's very common. To bring someone up to speed, it means to fill someone in on, there's a good phrasal verb, to fill someone in on the latest developments. Yeah, if you bring someone up to speed, you inform them about all the different things that have happened, and it's the latest news, it's the whatever has happened recently. So maybe you haven't seen your friend for a few months, and when you do see him, you say, let me bring you up to speed and tell you what has happened recently. Yeah, so to bring someone up to speed is to fill them in on, to inform them, to fill them in on all the latest developments of whatever they want to hear about. Now in the TV show, it was policemen. I think it was the boss or the guy in charge, the superior, the detective chief inspector, who brought his officers up to speed by telling them, by informing them, all the latest developments in the crime that they were investigating. So he brought them up to speed, he filled them in on everything that had been happening. Okay, to show someone out is when you take them to the door and say goodbye to them. So when you have guests, It's common courtesy, it's considered polite to walk with them to the door and say goodbye to them, to see them off. Personally, I hate long goodbyes, and I'm much more likely just to not say goodbye and escape. But if somebody is at my house, I will always see them off. I'll show them out. I'll take them to the door and wave goodbye. Okay, to be on to someone or to be on to something. Very common, this one, because it keeps cropping up in Line of Duty, and it crops up in a lot of other shows as well. Now, if you are on to someone or something, let's take it with something first of all. If you're a scientist and you are on to something, it means that you have found a piece of evidence or information which is likely to lead to a discovery. And if the police are onto something, it means they have found a piece of evidence, a clue, which is likely to lead to a discovery. Some kind, perhaps an arrest, perhaps someone will be arrested because the police have found some information which is interesting, which shows that they are onto something. Now, you can also be onto someone, which means you're likely to discover that they're involved in a crime. And so the police, it's their job to be onto people. It's their job to find evidence that will lead to the arrest of someone. So this is always when you are likely, when you've found something that will lead you to a discovery. Either a discovery about someone's crime, or a discovery, when you're onto something, a discovery about the crime itself. So this really is, something is the crime. You can be onto someone's crime, but you can also be onto someone. Okay, you could use that with people or with crimes. So yeah, this is when you find something that's likely to lead to a discovery. It's not only about crime though, because scientists could be onto something as well, and that would mean they're likely to make a scientific discovery. Okay, to fish for, I'm pretty sure that they use this word in the show with the noun compliments, to fish for compliments, and it's because it collocates very well with that word. So I'm going to put it down here, to fish for compliments. Now, if you're fishing for compliments, you are looking for compliments. You are trying to get compliments. You are... oh no, in fact it wasn't used with compliments. I'll tell you what it was used with in a second. But when you fish for compliments, you're waiting for people to give you compliments. So it's quite a negative thing to do. It means you're looking for people to praise you and to say how great you are, how wonderful you are, to fish for compliments. But you can also fish something out of your bag, meaning grab it out of your bag, but that's different. That's not fish for, it's fish something out of, like take something out of. But in here, I think the anti-corruption policeman spoke about some policemen fishing for favours, looking for favours, trying to get favours. I mean, it's a fishing idiom, obviously, but when you're fishing for favours, you're looking for favours. You're putting out your bait and waiting for somebody to do you a favour. So in this show, the policeman was showing his badge in a lot of different businesses because he was fishing for favours. He was fishing for a free coffee and things like that, because the business might think, oh, he's a policeman. If we give him a free coffee, he might be good with us and warn us about different things that might happen. I mean, he'll be our friend in the police. That's the idea. So some policemen will fish for favours. Some corrupt policemen will fish for favours. Okay, to look into is really easy one. It just means investigate, and it's very common. To investigate a crime, to look into a crime, okay? To take someone for, this means to perceive someone as. It's very often used in the expression, what do you take me for? A fool? Yeah? What do you think I am? A fool? That's all it means. What do you take me for? And you very often hear, don't take me for a fool. Or even don't play me for a fool, meaning don't treat me like an idiot. Yeah, so don't take me for a fool. It means don't treat me like an idiot. And it's very much related to mistake someone for. To mistake someone for a fool. Yeah, to mistake someone for an Englishman. Maybe they're actually an American and you mistake them for an Englishman. So you can also say you took them for an Englishman, but actually they're an American. So they're virtually the same, to mistake someone for and to take someone for. Okay, to follow up on complaints. This means to respond to complaints. If you follow up on a complaint, you respond to an earlier complaint. But you can follow up on information. Maybe somebody gives the police some information. The police have to follow up on that information. It really does mean respond to something. Respond to an earlier request to follow up on. So you could follow up on a complaint, you could follow up on information, you could follow up on some kind of evidence that's been reported, but it's the police's job to respond to these things, so they have to follow up on information, they have to follow up on complaints. So respond to would be a pretty good synonym there. Now, to be up to something means to be getting up to something naughty or mischievous. Get up to or be up to, both of them mean to do something a little bit naughty or a little bit mischievous. To cover for someone, it could mean to fill in for them, fill in for someone, which means when they're not at work, you fill in for them, you cover for them. So it could mean that, but it can also mean to back someone up concerning their lies. I mean, to cover up the truth on behalf of someone else, to cover up for someone. It can also mean that, but we don't usually say cover up for, we just say to cover for someone. So to tell lies to defend that person, to support that person. So some of the policemen, they weren't corrupt themselves, but they were a little bit corrupt because they were covering for some of the other corrupt officers, and that makes them also party to the corruption. They're also involved in the corruption. They've got mixed up in the corruption. Okay, to track someone down means to find someone. To hunt someone down, track someone down, it means find someone. The police have to track down criminals. Lastly, dearie me. Lastly, to make it up to someone. This means to make up for your mistake, to compensate someone for your mistake. So if you've made a mistake, you might want to offer to compensate someone, and you might say, let me make it up to you, let me buy you a drink, let me make it up to you, let me take you out for dinner. Perhaps you've upset your wife and you say, let me make it up to you, let me take you out for dinner. Okay, pay no attention to this relative clause. This was something I was doing last night with someone else. So to lure someone into a trap means to try to get somebody to fall into your trap. I think it's quite clear, this one, but lure is very, very common. To lure someone into a trap, to lure someone out into a field so that you can kill them, something like that, yeah? To lure, it means to, not seduce, but to attract someone into the trap. I mean, you use cheese, yeah, to lure the mouse into the trap. Okay, to be after is easy, it's just to chase. So the police were after him. To chase or to follow. Touch and go means really uncertain. Uncertain whether something will happen. And so there was a patient in the hospital, it was one of the policemen, and they said it was touch and go whether he would survive. It was uncertain whether he would survive. It looked bad, the situation was bad. Okay, to throw in the towel is an idiom meaning to resign. It just means to throw in the towel. It means to resign. When you throw in the towel, I think this is a sporting idiom, and when you throw in the towel, you resign from sport, but I'm not sure. It's just a guess. Okay, to not give a toss, to not give a monkeys, to not give a, and then a lot of different swear words. We could use a lot of different profane language here instead of toss. I'm not going to tell you which ones. I think you all know which ones anyway. But if you don't give a toss or don't give a monkeys, it's a very common expression nowadays in this area anyway. If you don't give a monkeys or you don't give a toss, you don't care. Okay? It's really common, this expression. I don't care. I don't give a monkeys. I don't give a toss. I don't give a... And as I say, there's loads of words you could put in there which are profane words, which are naughty words, you might say. And it means I really don't care at all. I don't care whatsoever. Doesn't bother me. All the same to me. Okay, banter. This is a noun here. And banter is playful teasing. It's when usually guys tease each other But it's considered playful. It can be quite vicious sometimes. You might even upset someone if they're particularly sensitive. But if they're not sensitive, they might just say, it's just banter, we're just having a laugh, we're just making fun of each other. There's a lot of banter, especially in the UK. I think we have a culture of banter. And so when guys get together, they very often make fun of each other, make fun of each other's weaknesses. And that would be considered banter. It's just banter. Okay, a shrewd person is a crafty person, a cunning person, a devious person. Devious sounds quite evil to me though. Shrewd, little bit, maybe a little bit evil. But crafty, cunning, sly, shrewd, devious, they're all adjectives which mean clever in a manipulative way. Okay, to testify in court is to give an official statement in court with your hand on the Bible and the other hand up here, or whichever one it is, I'm not sure, but where you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And white-collar crime is a word for crimes like fraud, which aren't committed by people who are blue-collar workers. We used to have white-collar workers who were professional workers and blue-collar workers who were manual workers, unskilled labour. And so white-collar crime was considered intelligent crime, like fraud, committed by accountants and people like that, people in professional positions, management positions. That would be called white-collar crime. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed that vocabulary. Please go to my website. There should be links around on the video that I'll put on there. I haven't yet, but I will put them on there in future. Links to my website where you can go and buy the exercises if you want to later today involving